Hope everybody's doing fine this new year. This is our first webinar of 2021. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar with ATG. I appreciate you guys tuning in and wanting to learn about residential CAD grading using CTC Auto Grader. This is a tool that is definitely going to make your lives a lot easier if you're a residential grader or a senior designer. This is definitely a workflow that will unlock a lot of creativity for everybody who's in that industry. Uh, as always, if you want to stay in communication with ATG and want to learn more about our company, any upcoming webinars, any of that stuff, you can follow us on LinkedIn. To watch this webinar and see other webinars you may have missed, please check out our YouTube page. Do a little subscribe and like on those videos, helps us out a lot. And we cover a lot of topics from beginning design all the way up to advanced stuff like we're doing today. My name is Felix Cortez. I'm a civil infrastructure technical specialist here at ATG. I'm also an Autodesk certified instructor. We're a platinum partner with Autodesk and Bluebeam. Um, our goal is to be a one-stop shop for software, licensing, training, and support. We also have hardware solutions if you're looking for better machines for your organization. I personally love doing this type of webinar and creating content. We know that our customers are definitely looking for new and improved ways to be more efficient and proficient in the software. Also, if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them into our Q&A section on your Zoom, and that way we can either answer them right after the webinar or during the webinar. So today's agenda. So we're going to be covering what AutoGrader is. On It's a tool provided through our CTC Sim Suite. We're going to learn how to use AutoGrader to grade the lot lines along a project if that's all you have to do. But what are the new features that's going to be added in a upcoming release is going to be a new tool where we can actually add pad grading using AutoGrader as well. And those are the three main things we're going to cover today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our demonstration. So this should look pretty familiar to everybody. What I have here is just a basic corridor. This is a residential project. If we come over to the side, we have just a regular full street section, right curb, left curb for our intersections. And this is the area where uh, we're going to be showing you how to use this new tool. What I want to do first of all is explain the different types of lot grading. I'm here in South Texas, where we have A, B, and C lot type grading. And so what a lot typically is we will have no grade horizontally. Longitudinally, we'll have on an A lot grading towards the front, like towards the street. What we have with our B lots is we'll still be flat across the front, but we'll have a split where the front half of the pad, excuse me, will grade towards the front and the back side of the pad will grade towards the back. Then what we'll typically have is a C-type lot, where as you probably guessed by now, it drains towards the back. So I know these are probably called different things in different parts of the country. Here in Texas, they're just called A, B, and C type lot grading. Now, what I want you to notice is that this is just a regular feature line right now. There's no grade, no elevations on it. I started off at 0, just went up at 1.5%. Started off at 0 here. Um, and so what we're going to end up doing, first, what we're going to show you is how to grade along these lot lines using our auto grader tool. Then on this side, what I'm going to show you is how we could do, let's say, a C lot here where we want to drain towards this drainage structure. And on this side, we probably want A lots because these two streets are pretty much the same elevation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start by opening up my Sim project suite. I'm going to go ahead and open up the AutoGrader tool. And so first and foremost, if you have this suite already, right off the bat, what you'll notice is there's actually a couple of new buttons here. These should be rolling out with the new version, but now we have the ability to go ahead and create surfaces straight from this interface. And we can also create surface boundaries straight from our interface. And so what I want to go ahead and show you is we're starting off with a blank canvas here. So nothing's been set up. So we're going to go ahead and walk through the different types of grading AutoGrader could do. Right now, we're doing residential lot grading, so the parallel feature wouldn't be something we necessarily use a whole lot. The two we're going to be mainly focusing are perpendicular grading, which is currently available if you have a Sim project suite. The new feature is here called this template insertion, and it works a lot along the same lines as a perpendicular setup. But the difference is, as you can see in the preview, we can go ahead and add different items along our road alignment and throw it in perpendicular or horizontal. So first, let's go ahead and walk through a perpendicular setup. So what I'm going to want to do first is I want to go ahead and take these existing feature lines I have out here. If I go ahead and close this out, I have this row of existing feature lines. If I go ahead and look at the properties, go ahead and open this up a little bit more. You can see, I mean, there's an elevation here at the right of way, which is pulled off of my corridor surface. But the back has no elevation, and that's going to be the same across all of these. The main thing I want to point out right now is that there's only two PIs on this feature line. Now, typically when doing a C-type lot grading, we would want to go, let's say, the first 25 feet, which is usually like a building setback line. Um, we might want to add a PI there on all these. Then we might want to go the pad distance, which is usually 60 to 80 feet. Set another PI there. I'm going to go ahead and walk through how we can go ahead and establish those on these existing feature lines using our AutoGrader tool. Let me go ahead and relaunch the tool. And what we're going to call this is um, type C grading left. And so there's two ways we can pick feature lines. We can either select them from the drawing, or we can also do them by a filter, or we can do it by a layer description, by a name, style, or we can pull them in from sites. In this case, what I want to do is I'm just going to select it from the drawing. I'm going to go ahead and grab that feature line. And now what I can do is there's two ways I can create child feature lines off of our main feature line. I can either create new ones or I can grade existing ones. So in this case, what we're going to want to do is we already have feature lines there. So let's go ahead and grade the existing ones. And so in this case, I'm going to do it by filter. I can type the layer name in here, or I can hit the green select box, which I'll do now. Go ahead and hit OK. Now it's only finding one feature line. So let me go ahead and hit the selection box again and grab the other ones. Now you can see it's found 13 feature lines. The reason you might want to use this by filter is, let's say along our street, there is different types of lot grading. So here in Texas, for example, you can't go from an A to a C or a C to an A without a B lot being in between them. So this method here, by selecting it by filter, if I was to come in and change the layer of any of these feature lines, then it would obviously filter them out because they no longer apply by the filter. Whereas if I was to do it by selection, even if I change the layer, it's still a selected item. So it wouldn't be able to update my grading as dynamically as I might like. So I'm going to go ahead and accept these 13 feature lines for now. And next I'm going to hit the green plus button to create a grading child. And so let's go ahead and call this first one C Parkway. And one of the things that I will touch on are, I believe these last two are, maybe the last three are new features. Right now, I'm just going to go ahead and do a distance and a slope for my parkway. Now, again, this could change from city to city, state to state, whatever agency you're working for. In my case, I'm going to go back 25 feet from my right of way. And since this is a C lot, I'm just going to stay conservative and do, let's say, 1.5%. So that's going to be my parkway to the front of my pad. So let me go ahead and add another one where I'm going to do C grading, and this is going to be my pad depth. Again, I can do another distance and a slope. Let's say these pads are 65 feet deep, and we want them to be 1.5% towards the back. And lastly, let's go ahead and do a C pad to the rear. And this is where I want to use one of these new features. Let's go ahead and slope to the end. So what it's going to do, it's going to take whatever distance is remaining and apply a slope to it. So where this might be helpful is, let's say there's a wall towards the back of these lots going down to this access road, and you maybe want to do a 5% max grading across your lot, and you want the difference to be a wall. um, you can go ahead and do this function. If you want to slope to an elevation, let's say you want to, there is a wall back there and you know what elevation that wall is supposed to be at, you can go ahead and slope to an elevation. Or if you just want to go down a certain relative elevation to your last elevation, you can also do that as well. So we'll just go ahead and do slope to end for now. Let's go ahead and keep with our theme and go 1.5%. Let me go ahead and save this. And again, another thing we can do right now, we just have the finished ground surface of our corridor. Let me go ahead and create a new surface straight from our interface. And let's go ahead and call this one Lot C grading. Go ahead and throw this one on a 1 and 5. And let's tell it to create our surface. And now what we want to do is actually put this Lot C grading, the feature lines that it's about to edit here, on that surface. And actually, just to make sure that this is all correct, we will go ahead and save and close. And now let me move this off to the side so we can see it work. Just going to hit the run button. And let me go ahead and close this out. And now if I grab these feature lines, you can see there are our feature lines with the new PIs or spot elevations on them. So this tool in itself is very uh, time saving as far as having to come in and do all this line work on your own. And to take it a step further, let's say since it's creating these additional PI points, what if we wanted to connect them all? So let's go back into AutoGrader and see how we can do that. Go ahead and double click the family name and it brings up the settings. And here at the end, you can see that there's a create parallel checkbox. So let's say we want to connect all of our parkway and maybe all of our pads. I can just check the box on for both of those. Go ahead and save and close. And let's go ahead and rerun the tool. And did I not? Let me try one. Okay. So for some reason, it's not working. Again, this is a beta tool. It hasn't been released, so there are going to be some quirky things like that. We'll obviously get that worked out before it gets into your hands. So now let's take it a step further. So on this side, you can see that I've already extracted a feature line along my right of way. And let's say I don't want to have to create these feature lines every single time. So I can actually use AutoGrader to lay these all out for me. We go ahead and open up the AutoGrader tool and let's hit the green plus button again. Go ahead and do perpendicular grading. And this time, let's call this type A grading on the right. So I'm going to go ahead and select this feature line. And this time, we're not going to be grading existing. We're actually going to be creating new line work. And so let me go ahead and click the stationing. And so I know that these lots are 42 feet wide. So I can type in 42 foot as my interval, click on my family and just hit plus. And you can see it's added in all the stationing along every 42 feet for me along there. Now I can go to formatting and the style is fine, but let's go ahead and put this on a type A grading layer. That way, when we go to do our pad grading, we know what layer our feature lines are on. And let's go ahead and make sure that they are on our pad site. One of the things I can also do from here is I can create a site or create a layer straight from this interface. But we already have that set up, so I'll go ahead and hit OK. And you can see that there's 11 feature lines that it has established based on our stationing. Go ahead and hit the green plus button again. And this one's going to be a type A grading, and it's going to be my parkway. And I'm going to do a distance and a slope again, 25 feet, but this time I'm going to go up 1.5%. Let me go ahead and hit the plus button again. And now we're going to do the A pad. And we're going to go 65 feet for that at 1.5%. And lastly, our rear lot. So a lot rear. And this one, we are going to go ahead and do um, 30 feet at 1.5%. And I'm going to go ahead and click the create parallel, and let me go ahead and hit save and close. And let's go ahead and create a new surface for these, just because we're dealing with the new block. So this is going to be our A grading. And let's go ahead and put this on a 1 in 5 layer, create the surface, and now we can go ahead and put this on its own. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run, and you can see that it's going to create not only my lot lines, and actually it looks like this time it did work, where it created my feature line. So it connected all of these lines for me in a parallel line. Um, so now all this is part of our surface. So now we get to the fun stuff. So we can lay out all of our lots. Now let's see how we can go ahead and add a template in to go ahead and put this information in. Now first we want to make sure we are selecting our feature line and it's on our type A grading. We go ahead and open up the auto grader tool again, and we're going to do the green plus again. And let's start with the A lot side. We're going to use our template insertion. We're going to go ahead and hit OK. And these are going to be our type A uh, pads. Right. And so like just like before, we can go ahead and select the feature line from our drawing that we want to run these pads along. And now we can go ahead and there are a couple of settings. I can either check the box on to do this at every feature line intersection. I can have it do it at midpoints between the two feature lines, which means it would center your block or your feature line that you're going to use as your template. Then we can also filter, just like before, layer description, any of that information. What I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go ahead and do my stations again. What I'm going to do is I want these stationed out every 42 feet. And I'm going to go ahead and hit the green plus after selecting my family. And go ahead and hit OK. And now we got to tell it what to do. So when I hit the green plus button, you can see the interface looks the same. So we can do this type A add run. So the thing is now I can actually select an object to put here. So let's go ahead and hit our type A grading feature line here. And we can also give it a base point. So I happen to draw this in. I know that this is 5 feet off of my property line. And we can also set a rotation. This will be something that you will have to play with. Um, just off the get-go. If you do a 0, it might not put it in the right spot. Obviously, I've already checked this on my stuff, so I know. And then now it's asking us, what method do we want to do? So we know that these pads typically match the grading. So we're going to go ahead and do a distance and a slope again. We are doing the right side. And let's do the same 25 feet. And let's go up at 1.5%. Now I could go to my formatting here, and let's go ahead and make sure that the layer that it's putting these on is also the type A. And let's go ahead and put it on a pad site. And we'll go ahead and call this OK. And we'll go ahead and save and close this. Now we can tell this, go ahead and put these feature lines that it's going to create and copy for us on that A grading And so now when I run this tool, we'll see the surface change over here. So just like that, I'm able to get my pads in. I mean, I just did 11 of these in a split second, where the current workflow for a lot of this stuff is going to be, I know in the past I've had to draw additional feature lines off of here. Um, and then, as stuff changes, I would have to use this feature line, update, maybe this end to my new right of way elevation, or use feature line hierarchy to get this elevation to change and make sure that this was at the right slope. And then I'd have to change all these slopes on my pad, where you can see now it's all pretty much dynamic. If my elevation on my main feature line was to change, which would be triggered by my corridor changing, then all I have to do is hit auto grader and just hit run, and all these elevations would change that quickly. And so what I was saying before is, so let's say here towards the end, maybe we want to grade this one towards the back for whatever reason. All I have to do is come in here and let's go ahead and change this feature line to type B grading. And let's make this feature line type C grading. Because like I said, here in Texas, we can't just go A to C. We would have to go A, B, and then C. And so what we also want to do is we're going to go ahead and um, show you how the grading on these will change, which means the surface will change. And then we'll come in here and we'll tell it to go ahead and use these last two and switch them out for different grading. So let me go ahead and launch my auto grader tool. And first thing we want to do is, if we open up our A grading right, you see that we had 13 feature lines in here before. Um, so this one is type C, and this one is type B. So these other ones should be the same. This should be fine. So let me go ahead and rerun this. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save and close. Go ahead and run that again. And now this should be type B. Ah, I know what I did. So we need to go ahead and take those last few stations off by hitting the red X. And so this is where, because I did it by stationing, um, it didn't update. So I'm gonna go ahead and save and close it. Go ahead and run it again. And these last two, yeah, are not there, which is what we want. So now let's go ahead and add the B lot grading in here. Well, actually, what we can also do is, if I was to go ahead and rerun our pads right, because this is looking for those same stations. So let's go ahead and knock off these last two, save and close it, and let's go ahead and rerun it. Now we're missing those last two stations. One of the things I do want to point out also, so we could, you know, use AutoGrader ideally to even lay these lots out if you wanted to. If these lots were not laid out correctly for whatever reason, I mean, you could use the tool to go ahead and lay those out as well. Almost like a site planning tool. So now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and go into our auto grader and the type A or pads right. I'm just going to go ahead and do a copy of it. And when we open it up, let's go ahead and change the name of it to the type B pad lots. And then let's go ahead and get rid of all these stations. And then let's go ahead and get rid of all of these. So really it's a 378 we want to keep. So we have our one pad right. But now let's go ahead and change the object to our B pad lot. And let's go ahead and set that base point to this endpoint. And now we're still going to go up at 1.5% for 25 feet for our parkway. So that's going to stay the same. And we're still using the same feature line. We're just going to do a type B pad run. So we're still going to add it to the same surface. And let me go ahead and run this guy. And there's our B pad. See how now there's a split right here? If I go ahead and close this, there's my B pad. So now let's go ahead and do the same thing for our C pad. Like this. And this time our stations are going to be going to be 420. So one of the things I can also do is just manually type in a station. So we can get rid of it, get rid of that zero. And now we also want to change this from a B to a C. And we're going to change the base point on where we're inserting this to right here, the corner of our lot. But this time we're going to go down at 1.5%. And let's go ahead and change this to C pad. So we have our one feature line. Let's go ahead and save and close this. And let's run this guy. There we go. There's our type C lot. And just in case you guys want to see, let's go ahead and label these feature lines. Label these as well. And so now the kicker. So what I actually did is I deliberately left these a little short. So I have my 5 feet building setback here on this side, but I have a little over 5 feet on this side. So current workflow would be, oh man, I copied the wrong feature line. Now I got to go through and move all these guys. Well, since we used AutoGrader to create them and it's pulling from this template, all we have to do is move this guy out 2 feet. When we come back to here, I just have to go ahead and open my AutoGrader tool. And let's just go ahead and run our template again. And just like that, the whole row is now updated. So we have our 5 feet spacing. So again, like I was saying at the beginning, this workflow will save so much time on doing these, often tedious lot grading. You know, it's a lot of copying feature lines, having to add construction lines in to make sure everything is correct. And actually, one of the things I can do just to show you how these are relative is we'll go ahead and do a feature line from there and go ahead and go perpendicular, and let's pull it from our finished ground surface. And now if I label this guy, um, oh, I must have grabbed the wrong spot, but that should be our 1.5%. And it'll actually be different on each side. So it depends what side you click to insert it. Um, but the existing workflow to get to this point, even, I've been able to do this in about 20 minutes. And that's with showing you how to do every step. When in reality, once I save this drawing, I have all these templates saved. So what I can actually do is I can go ahead and save these out as JSON files to be used later in other drawings by simply importing them. I'm not having to recreate the wheel every single time. And so, like, let's say there is a one-off situation. One of the things I really like about the CTC tools is it doesn't create any proprietary features in your drawing. I can actually send this to another designer, and they aren't going to know how I created all this stuff. They aren't going to know how easy that was for me to create. What we will be able, uh, they will still be able to come in here and edit it just like a regular feature line. Using your quick edit tools, they can insert elevations. Um, so it's a very lightweight, very robust tool where I know that all of my information is correct because I'm setting it up. Um, and it's creating these feature lines for me at the correct elevations based on just a template that I set up. And it's very easy to update. Um, I've only, um, I've been demoing these tools for quite a bit, and I'm never not impressed by how streamlined the CTC suite in general makes the workflows for senior designers and even designers. So, in a nutshell, what I wanted to also show you. So, one of the new features that is coming out as well. So, let me go ahead and grab this corridor real quick. I know we're running low on time. I'm going to go ahead and extract my P2 feature line, which is this guy. Actually, what I want to do is grab it and I want to be able to make changes to it. Let me go ahead and extract it. One of the things I can also do, because these are just regular Civil 3D objects, is I can make any changes I need to any one of these lots that's one off. So let's say you run earthwork and maybe some of these lots need to come up or down. Um, the foundation is here. So now if I just need to make changes to these, let's say 3 lots, I can come in here with regular Civil 3D commands and make changes and update this lot in particular, or these 3 lots in particular, whatever the case is. And it's not going to hurt AutoGrader. It's not going to offend it in any way. Now, if somebody wants to come in and completely mess this up, I also have a backup. I can just run AutoGrader again and recreate all this line work and then make changes. So again, a very robust tool. If I wanted to run earthwork on this and realize, hey, I'm too far in the cut, so I need to make this grade steeper to get some fill in here. I mean, really, it's just a matter of coming in here, changing these grades, and rerunning the tool and your surface updates. One of the new tools that I wanted to show you, let me go ahead and run. We need to make a type A left. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll do perpendicular. So this will be our type A grading left. And I'm going to go ahead and select that feature line I just extracted from the corridor. And I'm going to go ahead and create new ones. And let's go ahead and do that 42 feet again. And so go ahead and throw those in. And so what I want to show, so in this scenario, since these lots might be higher than these lots, in a real world scenario, I don't know what this grade is supposed to be here at the rear of the lot. So let's do a grade parkway. We'll do a distance and a slope. So we're going to do our 25 feet, 1.5. And let's go ahead and put our pad in. That was 65 feet at 1.5. But I don't know what that last rear lot is supposed to be. So one of the things that we can actually do is target a feature line. Now, if you remember when we did the other grading, we went ahead and had it create this parallel feature line for us. So what I can do is I can go ahead and tell it to target that feature line for that slope at the end. I'm going to go ahead and select it from the drawing, grab that feature line. And so there's going to be some variation, right? So let's say, I think this street was draining down this way, down from northeast to southwest. Same with this one. But here in between, these elevations might be different. So this grade here in the back is going to vary, which for us, a lot of the times as senior designers, we don't know what this grade is going to be every single time. So here's a way for us to set that target feature line. So it's going to just target it for me, whatever that distance and whatever the elevation is. And so let me go ahead and save and close this guy. And here's showing us a preview of what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and run it. Oop. And let me go. Oh, here we go. No, I missed it. We need that to go on the left. So let's go ahead. And as you can see, so I just made a mistake. I can just rerun the tool. And now my mistake is fixed. And so now if we look at this feature line and I go to my quick editor, select this site, you can see it's 0.24%, 0.09%, 0.06%. So this new feature in itself is definitely, I mean, in my opinion, a game changer because not only can I put the lots and the pads in, but my lot grading, I can have variable elevation and distances on the backside of my lots and have the CTC auto grader fill those gaps in for me. Well, I hope that this demo has been informative for you guys. I know I take great pleasure in doing them. Again, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Here's my email. And again, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day to hear me speak. And again, appreciate you guys very much.